Back in 1969, the very first Scooby-Doo show came out. It was titled Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Now, Scooby-Doo's always been a massive part of my childhood and a lot of other people's. And one of my favourite things was just the monsters in the show. So in this video, I'm going to be going over all of the Where Are You monsters, talking about them. This is less about the episodes and more about the monsters. I'll be doing a separate video on the the episode side very soon. I'll also be doing videos in the future talking about the other shows that I really enjoy, like Pup Named Scooby-Doo and What's New Scooby-Doo. But let's just get right into this video. But before we do, please like, share, subscribe. This video took a long time to do. So yeah, just please subscribe. That's it. I'm done talking. Enjoy the video. So first up, we have Castle Hassle's Phantom. Now, I think this is one of the most boring monsters in all of Scooby-Doo. This is just a man with a blanket over him, and it's not even as funny as the phony Phantom. This one's just boring. I'm going to give this a C. So next up, we've got the Black Knight. Now, this is one of my favourite monsters. This is automatically going to S. This has been around since the very beginning and still one of the best monsters that we've ever got. It's simplistic, but it works really well. And for the first episode, they really did start it off with a bang with this monster. So yeah, like I said, this is an automatic S. Now we've got Elias Kingston from What the Hex is Going On. Now this is a really memorable episode. It's not one of my favourites, but I've always remembered it because of how terrifying it was. Just his simple power to be able to turn somebody old just by touching them is terrifying. But the fact that you know exactly the monster is because it's the person who was turned old is kind of puts the episode down. And Elias himself is kind of an underwhelming monster, but it's still a good episode. So I'm going to have to give it a B. So we've got 4 monsters in one. We've got Dracula, we've got the Gypsy, we've got one of the werewolves, and we've also got Frankenstein's monster. Now, all 4 of these are not the full monster of the actual episode that they're in, and these are all just pretty boring monsters, so I'm going to have to give all 4 of them the D. Next up, we've got another pretty disappointing monster. We've got Miner 49er. From Mind Your Own Business. Now, this is one of the first monsters, I'll give it that, but this is just such a boring monster. There's nothing scary about this guy. I'm not going to give it a D because it's got some sort of nostalgia, but it's definitely getting a C. It's not bad, it's just boring. Finally, we're talking about another good monster. This is the Ghost of Captain Cutler. This is one of my favourite monsters. This was the second monster ever to appear, and it's just so good. I think it's better than the Black Knight. That's just my opinion, but it's just such a great monster. It's not my favourite of all time, but it's easily an S tier. Next up, we've got Zentoul and the Scare Pair. Now, I think Zentoul is very underrated. I really enjoy this character and his design. But he's not as good as the Scare Pair. The Scare Pair are best boys. The Scare Pair are getting an A. He's getting a B. Next up, we have the 2 witch doctors. One from Decoy for Dog Napper and one from A Tiki Scares No Fair. A Tiki Scares No Fair is one of the best episodes and has an amazing name. And this monster's getting an A. The Decoy for Dog Napper one's getting a B. Or, no, in fact, he's going to be getting a C because he's quite an underrated underwhelming monster. And compared to the other one, he just doesn't have a very cool design. So, yeah, one's getting an A, one's getting a C. So, for the Wax Phantom, D tier, enough said. So now we're finally getting on to another great monster. We have the Puppet Master from Backstage Rage. This is one of my favourite episodes, easily in the top 5 of Where Are You? And this is just a great monster. He has no neck though, so that might have to put him down a bit, but he has to get an S. So we've got to get rid of these 3 straight up. I swear this is the last tie. So we've got the Caveman, we've got the Ape Man, and we've got the Werewolf that's just a lot shitter. Now, these monsters are all pretty terrible. I don't enjoy any of the episodes that are in. The 8-man one was okay. I enjoyed the movie set. But apart from that, yeah, all 3 of these monsters need to go straight into D. I promise these are the last Ds on this tier list. Next, we've got the Ghost Clown. Now, this terrified me as a child, and still does, because I'm terrified of clowns in general. And this really didn't help with that. He can hypnotise people like he did to Daphne, which is kind of weird. And the way that he got her changed, it's a bit odd, but aside from that, he's a really cool designed character. He's a terrifying. He's probably the scariest monster on this list, at least for me. But that's probably just because of my clown phobia. But for that, I've got to give him an A tier. Next, we're getting on to my favourite monsters ever, the green ghosts. I just love these monsters for so many reasons. They have a perfect design. They're so fun. The noise that they make is incredible. This is my favourite episode of all of Scooby-Doo, so it's obvious that these guys are getting a D tier. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's definitely getting an S tier. If you disagree, fight me. Next, we've got the Snow Ghost. Now, he's getting a C tier because he's got quite a couple funny scenes, but his design's pretty boring, and the person who's behind the mask is an absolute idiot. Okay, so maybe I lied. We've got one more D tier. We have the Witch and the Zombie. Now, the Zombie has a decent design, but these two are put together, so I'm going to have to give them both a D. Yeah, I just don't remember these monsters. They're not very memorable, and it wasn't a particularly good episode. Alright, so we've got the Creeper next. This is one of my favourite monster designs. It's so simplistic but done so well. This monster also appears in Cyber Chase, but its design doesn't look very good. But I'm just glad that it was in there to begin with. And it's used for a lot of other monster designs in the future, and I think that's why this deserves an A. So next up we have Charlie the Funland Robot. This is automatically going into S tier. This is my second favourite episode. I just love it. Charlie is one of my favourite designs. He's not necessarily scary in the normal sense that like green ghosts are or the clown, but it's more like the eeriness of him that puts him up on this. And he's one of my favourite designs. And he kind of has a jump scare with the opening. And you just can't not like Charlie because he doesn't actually do anything to hurt them. He more just lives in his own kind of trance. So yeah, he's probably my second favourite monster in this whole list. So next up, we've just got the Creeper in a hat. Yeah, that's basically this whole character. I'm going to give him a C. Jokes aside though, he does have a really cool introduction. Alright, so next up we're talking about the Ghost of Redbeard. Now this is a pretty decent monster, not one of my favourites, but it's a good monster. It's got a couple other designs based on it in the future, like that one where it was just him but white, like pure white. But yeah, it's a decent monster, it's got a cool voice, and I like when a monster has a voice, so for that I'm going to be giving it a B. Next up, we've got the Mummy. Now, this is a pretty good monster. The ability to turn people to stone, kind of like Medusa, is very creepy. And the way that the actual villain did it was very cool and very clever, to be honest. So I'm going to be having to give him a B for that. The only reason he doesn't go up is because it's a very, very simplistic design. But I like the museum setting, and it does well. I don't think it's as good as the museum setting that we got for the first episode. So one of my favourite monsters now we're getting onto is the Spooky Space Cook. Now this is one of my favourite of all time. I just adore him. His design is incredible. It's so simplistic but so great at the same time. The fact that his face glows every time he laughs is terrifying, and that laugh always gets to me. And always creeps me out, so he has to be getting an S tier. I think he might be a tiny bit better than Charlie, but not as good as the Green Ghosts. Another one of my favourite monsters here. We have the Headless Spectre. Now, I adore this character. It's just like, the fact that he's not actually a villain is really what got to me. It really was a big twist to me, and I just adore his design. He's got one of my favourite in the whole show, and I just really enjoy it. So this is getting an S as well. Now let's get straight on to, I'll be showing you the finalised thing and then the outro. Alright, so that's the end of the video. I hope you guys really did enjoy this video as much as I enjoyed making it. I plan to make a lot more of these in the future, so please leave a like, subscribe, and join the Discord that's linked in the description, where you can talk to me and a lot of other people. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.